Art.
It's 6:01 p.m. Calling meeting to order. Do we vote on that?
No.
No, we don't. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nope. Barry usually just hands it over to me to do roll call at that point. So I'll start with Chair Beecham. Here. Vice Chair Fonger.
Here.
Board Member Cadwalder.
Here.
And then Board Member Straubin and Board Member Crawford are absent and both notified me ahead of time.
And so I entertain a motion to excuse the absences of board members Crawford and Straubin.
I will make that motion to excuse the absence.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I'd like the motion to approve the agenda as written.
And I'll support.
Any discussion? Or rather, yeah, and then so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item. Approval of the minutes. We have 3 items to vote on. First is the November 14th, 2023 regular board meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I would entertain a motion to approve the November 14th regular board meeting.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, November 20th, 2023 City Council Lowell Light and Power Special Call Board Meeting, open session. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting with the city council with that was open session.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, November 20th, 2023 Lowell Light and Power and City Council Special Called Meeting, closed session.
I'd like to motion to approve the November 20th, 23 City Council / Lowell Light and Power Special Call
And I'll-
Board Meeting, closed session.
And I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item. Going to turn it over to Charlie, I guess, for the safety moment, and apparently Ryan's going to put that up.
Yep.
The show on
I'll say I'm gonna hand it right over to Ryan. Did it quit, we're having tech problems?
Just quit going on the screen.
Release computer.
Let's see. Let me try to disconnect.
Preparedness to send additional aid to Ukraine if Congress is able to pass any kind of package there.
Kana, they are prepared. They do have enough resources for any situation around the world, but the money is tight because right now there's only...
Hey, there we go, I think.
Like
Yep.
on double.
You just gotta pick the one on the
You
right.
just gotta pick on your screen.
Did you just,
Put on the screen.
I think it's with the remote, isn't it? You can just,
Sorry, did you like the first thing?
No.
The safety topic is just chainsaw safety, just your basic chainsaw safety. There's a couple good examples right there of proper safety equipment that you should be using when you go to operate a chainsaw. If you go down to the hardware store, Ace, True Value, Tractor Supply, whatever it might be, the chainsaw is about one of the most dangerous pieces of equipment that you can go buy off the shelf, any given person. They don't give you any safety spiels, they don't give you any classes, they just put this chainsaw in someone's hand that may have never operated one before, and you go ahead and just go cut trees down wherever. It's a really good idea to use all of the proper safety equipment that's shown on the left, figure number 1. I mean, there's protective chaps. If you've never seen a chainsaw drop into a set of those chaps, those things are designed to stop a chain and stop it from cutting your leg. Like, and at full throttle. Like, you can have that chainsaw going as fast as you could possibly get it and drop that on those chaps and it will completely bind up that chain and it will not cut you. We have an old pair that have been pulled from service because of some damage in a couple of spots. So we were going to actually perform a test here at the shop with strap them onto a piece of pole or log or something and actually test it ourselves to see that it actually works. But we've seen videos and then they do a real good job. Typically, you see most anyone during storms, yard cleanup, you're going to notice the guy on the right and figure number 2 there. That's pretty much what your average fella in a yard around town is going to be doing. He's going to grab the chainsaw, no ear protection, no safety glasses, probably no gloves, and maybe with flip-flops or tennis shoes, and just go and just start whacking and hacking on things in the yard. It's not a great plan. You're asking for trouble.
I will attest that chainsaw does go through blue jeans, really, and leaves a nice wide path.
Ooh, oh, just like butter.
And then you go to the emergency room, and then they cut it nice and clean, deeper, to stitch it back together.
And that's stuff out of there. Yes, I mean, we have multiple sets of chaps. We have them, pretty much each fella has their own just because of the different height of guys. There's all different sizes. We have bottles or canisters of earplugs and the face shields. I mean, everything you could imagine for personal protective equipment, we have it available and the guys use it all the time because obviously we cut trees quite often and that's just the way it works.
That
So,
top one showing a loose chain line, is that what that's doing there?
that's,
The red X?
yeah, number 6, yeah, where the red X's are is definitely not a recommended practice. So yeah, that chain being loose like that, you don't want it to be that loose because if it flies off of there, it could get you in the hand or arm or something like that. And I mean, everyone's probably started a chainsaw, like the center picture there, number 9, where you're holding it up in the air and you're just giving it the business. I mean, I'm thinking everybody that's ran a chainsaw has probably done it that way. That's not the recommended method. You're supposed to be, hold it right down on the ground, hold it down solid, and then start it that way.
Kind of hard to do that when you're up in the tree.
Yeah, well, if you're in a bucket or up a tree, it's a little different. You gotta, but they are coming out with
Then
some
you do 8.
pretty amazing cordless chainsaws nowadays, so there isn't even a starting anything with it. You just have to engage the brake and then it doesn't work because it disengages the electric.
Yep.
It's pretty snazzy. All right, any questions?
Wow,
We're gonna keep it short and brief.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you, man.
So next item on the agenda would be public comment. Let the record show we have no one here for public comment. And next item is our action item, review and approve the Michigan Public Power Association power purchase commitment authorizations for capacity transactions. I'm gonna turn it over to Charlie, but I mean, this is complicated stuff, and we talked about this earlier. This is why we have Michigan Public Power Association. The transactions are complicated and more complicated than they have ever been really in history. Because there are just so many moving parts, and I'm gonna turn it over to Charlie.
Oh, I would agree, thank you. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I'll speak real high level and let anybody asking questions that they will, that they may have. But at a high level, the board's very aware that our power supply is going through rapid transitions with the retirement of assets and new legislation. There's a lot of things impacting our generation mix. And what's being presented tonight is a series of 3 transactions that are capacity-only transactions. All 3 transactions were evaluated and recommended by MPPA, and then Casey and I worked with MPPA staff, leadership team there to understand the transactions, understand the rationale more than anything. And we spend quite a bit of time trying to understand the rationale, because there are a lot of, Casey and I described it as we're shooting at a moving target from a moving platform, and the rules by which we play the game change every day. It's very complicated transactions, and there's a lot of considerations, and a lot of the considerations can't be talked about publicly because they're pending deals or with parties that it would put us at a negotiating disadvantage to share ahead of time. So again, like Craig had said, there's a lot of these tend to be very complicated transactions that are influenced by a multitude of factors that influence a lot of decisions we make. But included in the board packet there are 3 separate purchase power commitment authorization forms. 2 of them are just straight market transactions for zonal resource credits, or essentially capacity. And the third is a capacity offtake from the AES Calhoun Solar Project. I'll get into the deals a little bit here in just a minute, but I wanted to start, if you go to the next page, by just introducing in a little bit more detail the concept of how MISO does resource adequacy or their capacity demonstrations. And over the last 2 years and moving forward, there will be additional rule changes, but MISO went from essentially a single resource adequacy requirement where they established every utility's annual planning reserve margin for the entire year all at once, and that's based on summer load. And then your resources were assigned a single capacity accreditation based on, it's an oversimplification, but it's essentially based on how they've historically performed from a reliability standpoint. And then MISO has historically held a single annual planning resource auction where the entire year's resource adequacy needs are determined. That was a very much, we're going to look at the peak of the summer and plan our resources around the peak of summer. As we've had new resource mixes come online and there be more of a focus on retiring baseload generation and bringing on more intermittent resources, there's been a need to focus on and shift to a seasonal view. We're not just looking at the peak month or the peak times in the summer. Now there are 4 separate planning reserve margin requirements, one for summer, one for fall, one for winter, and one for spring. And then each resource is assigned a seasonal accreditation, and they do that based on identifying the highest risk periods inside that season, and then anticipating based on historical records and a multitude of factors what that resource or that fuel mix's contribution to reliability in the highest hours of each season. So what that, and then there's a single, there's a single auction, but each season is an independent auction inside there. So essentially, and why it matters to the board, real high level, it's just another thing to complicate our transactions. It's a shift from MISO acknowledging that the resource mix is changing and that really wind and solar provide different reliability characteristics than natural gas, nuclear, and coal. The sun doesn't always shine when the grid needs reliable power. The wind doesn't always blow. We have intermittent resources that aren't dispatchable. So MISO's had to look at the whole structure of capacity differently, and why it matters to us is, or some of the interesting factors or interesting outcomes for us is wind and solar tend to align very well from a capacity standpoint, and wind is accredited a higher capacity in the winter, when solar is essentially accredited no capacity in the winter, because the highest risk hours in the winter are when the sun doesn't shine. So MISO says, we can't reliably count on wind or for solar to provide any reliability characteristics during these winter high risk hours. Coincidentally, so wind accreditation goes up in the winter, solar comes down. The opposite is true in the summer. Wind accreditation comes way down. but your solar accreditation goes up. So wind and solar kind of work nicely together, but we're also in a unique situation. The two generators we have over there, their output is inversely proportional to ambient air temperature. So when it gets colder, we can actually produce more power. When it gets hotter, we can produce less power. So MISO takes into account what the ambient temperature is going to be during each season and adjusts our accreditation based on that. So again, I just bring it up because it becomes more important when you start looking at capacity-only transactions, but it's just an interest. It's another dynamic that we have to consider. And again, we talk about the rules are changing. There are additional rules being proposed by MISO that will significantly derate the capacity accreditation of solar starting in 2028, I believe. So we're talking about the rules are always changing. So we're looking at a moving target, looking for, the rules are changing. Nothing's ever static. The seasonal capacity, this is the first year they did a seasonal capacity accreditation. And again, in just a few years, the rules will continue to change. And there's multiple proposed rule changes that will impact our capacity. So it makes it really challenging to have a long-term capacity strategy. So when Craig and I were talking today, we were talking about the need to diversify. And that's what these three transactions are. They are diversified, layered transactions. They're with three different counterparties. Three different counterparties for three different deals, and we're going to essentially start looking at chipping away at our capacity needs. If you want to scroll down to the next, I've got a graph here that just highlights, and there's a lot going on here. I'll start real quick. The blue line up top is our planning reserve margin. That's what we have to prove to MISO that we have assets that can meet our needs. And again, you see, it makes sense. Our planning reserve margin is the highest in the summer and lowest in the winter. Makes sense. Our load is lowest in the summer, our load is highest in the winter. Or other way around. Got it backwards, sorry. Lowest in the winter, highest in the summer. But you can also see the green bars here are our capacity accreditations. You see that there are different accreditations season by season. And over time, you can see that we have assets being retired. Our overall capacity position is declining right now, but that's just because we have Campbell being shut down. We have landfill gas deals that contracts are rolling off. We have an ever-evolving power supply. So the three transactions that we're talking about today, well, I guess I'll finish. So first, the yellow line is our net capacity position. Essentially the difference between here and here, or the yellow line is the difference between the blue and then the first bar, that's our current assets, and then the red line is including the three transactions that we're talking about tonight. But the three transactions really start targeting this planning year 28-29. So 4 years out, we have to file 4 planning years out, we have to file a resource adequacy demonstration with the state of Michigan, essentially proving to Michigan, the state, that we can meet our needs, our anticipated needs 4 planning years out. So in February, we will file our demonstration for this. So a year from February-ish, we'll be in a boat, or we'll need to file this year's resource adequacy. And you can see that before these transactions, 3 of the 4 seasons, we had a short capacity position. And we look a lot towards this summer capacity, because anticipation is the summer is going to essentially set the capacity clearing price. It's going to be the highest clearing price in summer. So we really look to that, and you can see that we're going to be fairly deficient. We don't ever want to expose ourselves or do everything we can to avoid exposing ourselves to actual auction clearing prices, because it's a crapshoot. It could be $266 a megawatt day, or it could go to $10 a megawatt day. It fluctuates significantly. So we're targeting this, and you can see that these transactions bring all of our capacity positions for each season into having a long position. It covers our entire capacity need. And we're doing it a full year ahead because this past year, the clearing price at the auction, it swung real low. Well, when the clearing price at the auction swings low, it brings all the market value of everything down, and we were able to transact at a very favorable level here. But you can also see that these deals still leave more work to be done, and that was important. I go back to that diversification of our capacity position. We know we still have future needs that need to be addressed, but there's a lot of options that we can pursue. There's MPPAs currently in talks with across multiple different potential opportunities. Each of those opportunities will fill some of our capacity need, hopefully, but the idea is we layer in multiple transactions, fill our need long-term without ever essentially putting too many eggs in one basket. Happy to answer any other questions. There's a lot that can be pulled from this, but again, these deals are just a piece of the solution. They're not the end-all be-all solution. They are all multi-year deals. The one thing that I do want to highlight is with the solar deal, it's really advantageous pricing. And we talk about the other capacity available is actually from the AES Calhoun. We signed multiple amendments, renegotiated that deal. Well, when they renegotiated the deal with us, the other off-taker backed out and didn't want to continue to participate in the other 100 megawatts that was on that project. So AES ended up remarketing that project, and the other 100 megawatts went to a private corporation. They didn't sell off the capacity. They sold off energy and renewable energy credits, which left AES holding a product for capacity, which is why if you look in the packet, the price on the AES deal is lower than the other two, and that's just because it's advantageous pricing. We're the other off-taker. We already have a relationship. It's kind of an opportunistic transaction that really aligns with our needs, because as you can see, we have a long position in the winter with these deals all the way through planning year 2033, and we don't get winter capacity from solar. So it really fills our biggest needs without giving us too much that we don't need. So it just ended up being a really opportunistic transaction that works for us. I'm sorry, I interrupted somebody, but happy to answer questions.
Well, it doesn't necessarily, you just bring up a point, but, so is it basically, for the common person, is it strictly air conditioning in the summer that drives everything up? Because I look at, so yeah, we have air conditioning, but, okay, so we also, at this time of the year, we have heat, and all those furnaces run on blowers and electricity, and we have to have the lights on more because it's less daylight, and it just seems like there wouldn't be that much of a difference between the summer, but is it just the air conditioning costs so much more to operate, or is there other factors that I'm not thinking about?
So Casey, Ryan, Casey, if either of you have anything to add, but I would say yes. The simple answer is it really is weather driven, and I think one of the things to consider is large industrial loads. Large spaces that have industrial processes, controlling the climate in those facilities is more of a challenge than your house. But if you look at average residential bills, and you may have insight into this too, average residential bill in the summer is probably north of $100. In the winter, it's probably 78. I'd have to look in the packet. And that's at the residential level, where a larger percentage of your bill is fixed costs. You know, at the residential level, north of 20% of your bill is gonna be your fixed customer charge, where if you look at your industrial customer, it may only be 1 or 2%. So, you know, even with a large percentage of your bill being fixed and unchanged, you still see a 20-30% increase at the residential level just in the summer. And honestly, I don't know if you have if you have anybody has any firm numbers on, you know, comparison of what anything draws, but the short answer is it really comes down to air conditioning.
Yeah, I'd say an air conditioner for an average home probably pulls about 5,000 watts, would be my guess. And to run like the blower on your furnace, you're probably talking like 300.
Half a horsepower maybe.
Yeah. You know, lights are mostly LEDs now, so, you know, it's probably 60 watts per room to light a room. But yeah, just that air conditioning alone, the compressor is, draws a lot of power.
Okay.
And there's a lot of old technology out there that hopefully, you know, that will eventually be replaced with more efficient technology.
I can say where I was, the community I was in Tennessee, we actually had an equal peak in the winter as we did the summer, but it's because we didn't have widespread. We're far enough south that people could have more efficiently heat with electricity, and we didn't have natural gas widespread. So we saw a pretty even peak winter which is another indication that it's very much just driven with the lack of heat and the lack of electricity that's required to heat in the winter, especially compared to the summer and keeping things cool.
Okay.
I'll say, any questions? The one thing I do want to bring up, specifically draw attention to on this topic is this has not been approved by the full MPPA board yet. We will be doing that tomorrow, but MPPA requested that I go ahead and seek approval from the board tonight ahead of it. So any action, should the board choose to approve the 3 transactions or authorize me to approve or to execute the 3 transactions, it would be pending the MPPA Board of Commissioners approval tomorrow.
So I would make a motion to grant the general manager, Charles West, to authorize him for the 3 capacity transactions pending what the MPPA does.
Supporter, any support?
I support.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item.
All right, we'll go on to informational items. Start again, I've found that the new graphs are pretty informational for me. Found them very helpful. I think it paints a picture. You're seeing the orange bar graph, the individual orange bars show that our sales every month besides that July month have trended not only ahead of last year, but have tended to trend, they've trended above the previous 4 years. So overall, we are seeing sales that are trending like we would expect with growth on an annual basis, especially with the growth that we've seen. But I will say that if you go to the residential graph, we are seeing the residential load kind of hover more in the middle of the pack. If you look at our this year and the previous 4 years as a combined time frame, we're kind of trending right towards the middle, if not on the lower end. So it's something that, again, I've mentioned it at previous board meetings. It's something that we continue just to watch, but again, we're going to attribute this largely to weather-related impacts and just the fact that the new homes that are going in are, we have a lot of homes being built and they tend to be energy efficient, but still overall sales on a volumetric level are not trending with the rest of our sales at the residential level, but not a concern either. One thing I want to highlight on the unrestricted investments and cash graph, I mentioned last month that we were anticipating some very large invoices this month. This past month, we paid our Newkirk electric contractor invoice. So we paid, that was a large check that went out. And then last month, we also got a working capital call from MPPA to the tune of, I believe, $145,000. It was a $145,000 cash hit. And then last month, we also had a third payroll. So we had a lot of things pointing towards an erosion of cash in a 1 month time frame, not a trend. And we did see that cash dip down, but we saw that cash dip down and still stay above that 120-day threshold that's our target. And since then, since we've had the working capital call from MPPA, MPPA has returned about $120,000, and it was a very short-term transaction that they knew. It's the way the calculation works. But I wanted to pause it and highlight this. We've been very diligent with managing cash, and it's obviously been a major focus for board conversations for the last couple of years, and happy to report that even with some significant expenses, we were able to still maintain that cash level at an area over the 120-day threshold. And very preliminarily, we're hopeful that that target doesn't move too much. We're seeing a lot of our expenses not exceed previous year's expenses, so we're hoping that come next June, when we wrap up the fiscal year, we have relatively stable operating expenses year over year. Other than that, that's about all I have from the performance data. Happy to entertain any questions, but the graphs are the same graphs that you see every month. PCA is always a good one to look at. We're seeing a little bit of upward tick on the PCA, but the last few months it's been a little bit more stable, and we've seen less month-to-month movement on the PCA, which is always great, because the more we minimize movement on the PCA, the more we can help alleviate bill impacts on our customers. So that's always good to report that it's somewhat stable, and we're seeing smaller month-to-month movements. And with that, that's performance data. We roll on.
Yeah.
So any questions on performance data, I guess?
So next item is
Monthly outage report. I'll hand it over to Ryan.
all right.
There's actually 3 outages this month. For some reason, it didn't grab one of them when I did the report. There was one of them on the 6th of November on Gulliford. A tree tipped over, knocked 8 customers offline for just a short time. It was during working hours, so crews were able to head right there quickly. Squirrel out on Granover Drive, pretty common. This pole's been modified with this animal guardian, so we shouldn't have a repeat offender there. And then the large one on Monroe, unfortunately, some cable TV that goes across the Monroe Street to the school building there was a little lower than it should have been, and a semi went the wrong way down a road that it shouldn't have been on. So kind of a couple different things that happened, but the semi snagged the low wire, tipped the pole over, caused some calamity there, I guess I would say, and blew some fuses. Happened to be right about at 8:59, 8:58, right in there.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes before we were having a planned outage on Monroe to convert customers over to the new voltage. Kinda heard something happen,
Timing.
thought I heard some fuses blow, it was way down the street. I was like, all right, we're just gonna keep moving. Mark and Zach and some other guys were down closer to that, they could see things happening and see the semi dragging stuff and causing damages, but we kept going anyways with our planned outage and everybody kept doing that. I was able to go down and install a couple new fuses on some stuff that was blown to get the majority of people back on. The only thing that was left off was the library just for a little while the crews finished up our conversion job. So that was kind of a bummer that it happened right then, but didn't break any poles, just damaged a few things, and then we were able to straighten the pole out. We removed a few facilities that crossed over to the school that were no longer used, and everything's raised up to, I think it was 16 feet higher or higher all the way down through there now, so everything's way better. So unfortunate, but kind of happens. I think the poles tipped over a little more than they had been. All of the road work along Monroe, new water, sewer, all of that stuff happened, and all of the dirt was, moved and disturbed, and it was a lot softer. And I think over time of all that work, the poles just were able to just kind of lean over more into the road, and it caused wires to be a little bit lower than they were. We straightened up 2 or 3 different poles down through that were fairly crooked or leaning to the east, so we should be in better shape.
And that affected the showboat a little bit. We have a couple of UPS units on there that power back up the lights. And some of us weren't aware that we had them until they started beeping and that they needed some service and maintenance. So it was a blessing for us to realize that, hey, we have these, we need to take care of them. So,
Yeah, all right.
but they did kick out.
I saw that, I saw it happen, it's not a good one. I heard it and looked up and saw stuff swinging in the wind. Said, you're gonna get a call soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah. They were there quick, that's why the only thing I wanted to highlight is, if you look on the actual duration of the outage, 25 minutes.
Bravo.
Not
They were
bad.
right there. Part of that is, poles were broke, 'cause I don't care how good your crews are, you can't change pole out in 25 minutes usually, but they were right on it, and we're fortunate that it didn't turn out any worse.
It was a super windy day too, and refusing 2 cutouts from the ground and the high wind was not very fun.
Tough.
It is not easy. I'd love to let somebody try one day so
Not
they can
me.
see how much not fun it is.
I've
Maybe show
I've
them
embarrassed
the
myself.
line, no
on
power
some
to
times.
it. Okay, just
Yeah,
show
you can do it
yes.
and make a video.
I wanted to go down there and watch it.
It is not easy, especially if you don't do it as frequently as somebody like Ryan.
Bravo.
When we were at the rodeo in Minneapolis, they finally just went, because it was nasty weather there, and they
Close enough.
they went, no, we're not doing that.
Wow.
Before we go any further, Chairman Beecham brought to my attention that I need to verify that I voted on the agenda items, the minutes and the capacity authorization. Since I was in role of chair tonight, and usually when I chair my meetings, I'm used to not voting. So if we can agree by consensus, I guess we'll call it, that I did vote yes on all of the motions. So
Tina and I were voting yes, and especially because there's only 3 of us here, because 2 of them are
Yep.
absent. I just wanted to, if there was somebody else and it was a majority, I wouldn't have brought it up, but we're recorded, so I thought that it's best that we address that right
and
now.
that's why you're chairman.
Agreed.
I mean, I think it's good, we can have the record reflect, we'll make sure the record reflects a affirmative vote on every action that we take as our part in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Good catch.
Any questions on the outage report from anybody?
Squirrels, huh?
Squirrels. Okay.
Carrie, where's your mother?
Thursday.
Get on that.
We had a squirrel on our float.
We did have a squirrel on the float. There was a tax,
Right on pole.
Right on the pole?
Yeah.
taxidermy?
Sorry.
Oh.
Might be, you'll see the picture.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe you can
Good
see a
point.
picture. Yeah.
Alright, I'll roll on to the income statement real quick. The only thing I want to highlight on the income statement is the net income. Our net income continues to trend well ahead of budget. Again, we were obviously aggressive from a rate standpoint last year, not necessarily from a net income standpoint. It was more a cash management and how quickly our expenses ran up. So net income is still very healthy. We were expecting a little bit more of a lower net income this month because we do have the 3 payrolls, but still came in with a very healthy net income, just under $60,000, bringing our year-to-date net income to just under $600,000, which again puts us in a really healthy spot for the rest of the year. I'll remind the board that this past year we had about $300,000 in non-cash income statement hits at the end of the year. They're non-cash, but you want to make sure your net income is in a healthy spot at the end of the year because you've got your GASB 68, which is your pension liability entry, and we have other post-employment benefit entries, OPEB entries. And different things happen that are non-cash entries, so we want to make sure that our net income's in a healthy place so that we can absorb and make sure we're in a position to take on those expenses that cannot be budgeted for ahead of time. And that's, happy to answer any questions on the income statement, but big picture at this point, pushing through 5 months of the year, is our sales are trending slightly behind budget, but nothing of any concern, and a lot of that is, I won't get into the different causes, but at the same time, our power supply expenses are out, those under budget number, those are coming in even further under budget. And then if you look across all the other line items, we're very much erring slightly on the side of caution in our budgeting, but overall, we're budgeting fairly conservatively, and everything's looking pretty good 5 months through the year.
All right, so next is capital projects report.
All right, this is one that last month I told you there'd be a little bit more movement on. If you go to that one right there, it has the current month spend. You'll notice we've got a larger chunk in the voltage conversion projects, and that's largely the invoice that we paid to Newkirk. Part of that is the in-house work that we're doing, because included in that voltage conversion project's budget was everything that Newkirk was going to do. Then our Hendricks order has hit there, and we also had a pole order that timing-wise it ended up getting, that invoice was paid in this fiscal year. But again, Ryan mentioned earlier, we're doing work on Monroe, and our crews are handling the rebuilding of the side streets and in the voltage conversion on the single phase. So you're seeing items hit there. We've had some additional IT work. Then again, on a monthly basis, we fund the vehicle replacement fund. But from a capital project standpoint, we're staying in a really good place right now, advancing a lot of projects and making tremendous progress.
Is that some of the work I've seen you guys on Washington too?
Yes.
On the major intersections, closing the roads here?
Yeah, Ryan, what all streets have they hit so far? Monroe
Quite a
and
few of them.
Washington and
Both directions on Monroe from North Street are complete. South of North Street on Washington is now done, and then we're gonna move on to some other portion of that over there here pretty quick. Got a few other things we wanna do some other places first, but yeah, it's coming along really good.
Add some respect to the weather to work on too. A little cool, but
It's It's always good when we don't have to go out in muddy fields.
Yes. Yep.
Thanks for putting a critter sleeve on the pole in front of my house too.
That was really good looking.
So you can't crawl up there no more?
Yeah,
So I just don't pick on Perry.
Manager's report.
All right, so I'm gonna roll through the manager's report real quick. I did want to provide an update, and I won't get into a ton of the details, but I do want to make sure that the board stays at least aware that ITC has filed multiple cases against MPPA, ITC being the transmission owner. They have filed cases. They filed cases at Circuit Court of Ingham County. And then they've also filed complaints with FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and they are essentially trying to strip our rights as transmission owners. We are fighting this, and they're going to fight very aggressively, but again, can't get into too many details, but I did want to provide an update that the Ingham County Circuit Court judge made an initial ruling and ruled against MPPA. So we have filed a notice of appeal and we'll be carrying the state case to the Court of Appeals. And that's expected to be a 12 to 18 month process. We are not concerned with the initial ruling not going in our favor. It was going to go to the Court of Appeals regardless of what the circuit court ruling was, because the circuit, my understanding is the circuit court ruling is non-precedent setting, and this is the first time this legislation has been litigated. So both parties will be looking to establish precedents, and I would not be surprised if this state battle didn't go beyond the Court of Appeals. I have no insider information, I guess, but the fact that this is new legislation that's never been litigated and is significant. And it's something that we're going to be actively involved with. But again, just want to provide a very brief update. I'm happy to talk in private with what I can share, but obviously it would not be wise to share strategy in an ongoing case. So did want to, this is all public information, and I'd like to continue to provide at least what I can, because this will be something that's significant and something you will continue to hear about most likely.
Okay.
Hopefully not too much, but other than that, I want to highlight some of the work that crews have been doing. They had to move some poles move a pole on Alden Nash to get ready for Harvest Meadows, the next entrance going into Harvest Meadows. So they're rolling in there, and we're making plans to be ready to serve the new phases once they're ready to open them up. Eastside Feed last month, PO was issued for the conductor to go under the river. So moving along there.
Some of the components needed to terminate that cable have fairly lengthy lead times, so we'll probably need to issue a PO on that stuff soon too. We got quotes. Waiting for one more.
All those
the dead front elbows and other things like that. I mean, 40 to 45 week lead time, so we want to get that moving too.
Now, you just don't have a number 4 wire nut that's put in the yard?
That's big, the red wire.
we used our last
You
one.
did the last one, just,
Can you see how they get into it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna move through. It's been a very much a busy month, but not a lot outside of what's already in the report. Not a lot of updates. We did submit the response to the one RP3 RFI, request for more information. We are very confident in our answers. The question that they wanted more information on was around our system planning efforts. And I think they are missing the fact that since the last time we filled out one of these applications, we brought Casey on board, and Casey has really, between Casey and Ryan, we've been able to bring majority of our planning efforts in-house and then leverage an outside consultant to fill in the pieces when needed. And I think some of that shift was lost on the review committee. And again, I'll find out if there's an appeal process if we don't get the points for this question, because I really feel confident in our efforts and feel like we do, by making the transition, we serve our customers better. We're more responsive to their needs, and we're more quicker to respond than having to rely on a third party. But we'll see how the committee reviews it, and we'll adjust accordingly. But we feel confident in our response. Didn't feel confident in some of the correspondence that we had with the review committee. IT update. Want to highlight this. We are still dealing with legacy issues from our previous vendor and the initial setup of our data center. They over-provisioned all the virtual machines. So they carved up a pie in more pieces than the pie could feed. They tried to take a pie that was made to feed 10 people and tried to feed 20 people with it. And when somebody went without food, everything started shutting down. It's an oversimplification of the problem, but it involves physically going in and reallocating storage to every virtual server that we have, and we're still running into issues where some servers will automatically shut down because they don't have the memory that the programming calls for them to have. I just bring it up because we've not used them in many years at this point. Close to 2 years, maybe even 2 years that we haven't done business with them, and we're still dealing with just trying to get by with some of the stuff that they just didn't set up correctly. I'm no expert in that, so I can't say much, but I trust the vendors that we're using now, and I trust our partners now, and it's an ongoing problem. I want to touch base a little bit on alternative schedules and just provide an update on our communication efforts for the office hours change that's going to happen. The bill will have bill inserts. We put social media out there, print media. I made a presentation at the city council meeting, but the thing that's been the most effective is talking to customers when they come in the door. The day after the last board meeting, the office staff was ready to go. Immediately started having, because it also happened to be that very quickly after our last board meeting was the due date. So we knew we'd have the highest traffic for due date, and then we have the highest traffic the first week of the month. So we've gone through the two highest traffic times outside of the December due date, but we went through November due date and the week where the December bills were hit. So that the 20th of November and then the first week of December are two very busy times. And they were prepared with these colorful cards that they're stapling to receipts, stapling to bills, because let's be honest, the majority of the customers that still come in tend to be older in nature and they're coming in because they're more likely to want to use paper to conduct business. So we've taken advantage of that and taken a bright colored piece of paper, a little business card size thing, and stapling it to invoices. The other thing I asked them to do was just gauge reactions. So we can cater our message to what our customers are saying to us. If our customers are coming in saying this is a great idea, well then we can play that up. If they come in and what's been interesting is what we've had to kind of change our messaging on is customers are concerned that we're cutting our employees' hours.
Right.
And obviously we've all had these conversations. We know we're not doing that. So we catered our messaging a little bit to make sure customers are aware that Light and Power is not just cutting time and trying to save money by cutting hours. We're just repositioning how people are able to use their time. I will say we have not had any customers openly be negative towards it. And I say openly because that doesn't mean that somebody didn't just walk out the door and get 2 steps out the door and start cussing us up and down like a dog. But we have not seen, we've not seen a negative reaction. Customers have been very understanding. We've really seen straight through it, most of them, and said, oh, you're trying to do things a little more efficiently. Oh, you're gonna think about how much you're gonna get done when you know, you're able to focus on other things. So our customers really see the need for us to shift as we just have less customers coming in. I will also say that the November due date and the first week of December are still a little eerily quiet. Just because we don't have nearly I think our customers clearly wanted alternative ways to conduct business with us.
Absolutely.
They've used it. I mean, we just don't see a tremendous amount of customers coming into the office. And even on due date, we had one customer come in before 10 o'clock on due date. He came in, put his check on the counter and walked out before anybody could say hi. He literally came in, and I think somebody caught him at the door and said, do you want a receipt? And he said, nope, and left. So even that customer is not going to be disrupted by,
Right.
he'll be surprised when he can't get through the second door, but we're still implementing or looking at additional things that, you know, how do we, when customers are surprised, how do we eliminate their surprise? And where they're gonna be surprised is when they open the first door and it opens and they go to the second door and it's locked.
And then do they see a sign at that door?
They
That says,
will.
hello, these are the new hours.
Yep.
If you are experiencing any problems that we could help you with, please call this number. Is that?
They will. It's not up yet, obviously, but
Right.
yes.
Will it be
The
there?
TV will have
So
the
that,
same thing.
yeah, so there's a TV in the lobby that we're gonna have a message on the TV. The other thing we're gonna do is point to the drop box. It's right there. We're leaving that outer door open, the inner door locked, so that customers can come into a air-conditioned environment if they need to write a check or anything. And we're gonna put a table out there. If they want a receipt, we can leave an envelope and tell them,
Okay.
write your address on the envelope, we'll pay for postage, we'll put the receipt
Right.
in there and we'll mail it. So we're still working through some of those details, but I wanted to report that everything is going very well at this point. Feedback from customers has been great. Really, there's one reaction to a Facebook post that we don't really know how to take, but it's from a customer that we talk to every month. Sometimes multiple times a month. So she's just a little more engaged with us than a lot of customers, but
Right.
she doesn't come into the office either.
It's not my wife, because
It's not me either.
she's not on Facebook.
No, bravo. I applaud this, and this is how I feel. The hours have changed. I have been asked, did we lose any positions? And it's funny that you brought that up, because of the shift. And I'm glad that you brought it up to let everybody know that, no, that's not the situation. Number two is, if they're still putting in 40 hours a week, and I don't care where they're doing it from, they're still doing their job, I applaud them to move forward on that type of flexibility for these employees. Because there's always that number that they could call and say, hey, I need help or whatever, and it's there, and we've never had nobody not answer the phone. So that's my take with Tina. We've got the best employees for Lowell and Power right now. We got the dream team, and I want them happy, and I want them to stay here. We make it easy for them to work here, they will stay here. If it turns crappy, they're leaving.
I agree. And that's what, you know, the message, I did send email out some talking points, but I worked with Craig, we really we're really paring it down and we're modernizing our schedule, we're optimizing it. Modernize, moving away from a restrictive 8 to 5 old school schedule.
Thank you.
And optimizing, they're still working 40 hours, it's going to be a more efficient use of time to focus on the full spectrum of everybody's responsibilities instead of having to focus on the responsibilities that involve the customers, or being pulled away from other responsibilities and expecting them to split their attention, and giving them a focused opportunity to advance things that they want to advance that just don't involve being in front of the customer. They're still important, and they're becoming increasingly important as the industry shifts.
Right.
So it's modernizing and optimizing, and we're still here to serve our customers.
And I do want to correct myself that if you ever came to the table and said, we are gonna outsource from somewhere else, I will be the first one with a pitchfork and torches at this door and tell you, no way. I want people
I'll find
that
a joke. I'll
are
outsource
here
something.
to talk. Do not outsource.
What if I outsource
would be okay with that.
the pizza delivery?
Oh,
Yeah.
the pizza delivery.
General manager.
Casey's got to be the pizza delivery guy sometimes. I might outsource his, no. I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely. We are here.
So, I think, for me, I have to speak to that. And to not outsource something that our employees can do.
Yes.
There's a caveat, because we do outsource things that we are not capable or that it makes sense to do, etc. So for me, I need to make that point, that
Okay.
there are times that we outsource some things, and I'm speaking probably more so in the line, in the field, but it could be in the office. And I agree with you, if there's things that our employees can do, we shouldn't outsource it. But there are times when we do need to outsource for particular reasons.
Well, like with our credit card payments, right?
Well, yeah,
That's
there's-
outsourced.
There are certain things that you just, but yes, I would say we're not going to say,
I'm sorry.
we're not going to replace a crew, we're going to hire a contract crew. We're not going to say, and where you see that a lot is people outsource tree services. I think we used to have an outside.
We were spending over $200,000 a year in.
We chose to bring it in-house because we could do it. Again, we brought Newkirk in this year, and it was a decision that was made not out of outsourcing. It was opportunity cost, it was, do we have the right equipment? So, but yes, at its heart, if we can do it, we're gonna do it.
And if it's feasible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So is that it for the manager's report? Or
I think the only other thing I wanted to make
There's
sure.
there's no Z?
No, you know what's bad is, I almost put 2 blank letters in there just to get to Z, and I thought,
Okay.
I looked for something. Do want to highlight cybersecurity training. If you've not completed the 4th quarter cybersecurity training, please do that.
Yep.
completed?
Mine's completed.
Not even attempted, well, excuse me, attempted, but all it does is just keep going.
Just go in the office,
Here,
that's what I did.
I'll show, and click the right link.
You told me not to click up there, to click at on the bottom, and I did, and all it does is just watch that little thing going like this.
Could you check and see if I need to do?
You do.
I do?
It's
Daniel and Craig are
it's
doing
really
two
simple,
of
this one. I don't know if we do the same ones that you do.
No, we do
I
different.
was gonna say,
Okay.
it's so
Yeah,
easy.
it's meant to be a 10-15 minute thing, but, when we go to, for cybersecurity insurance, we've got to supply training
I'll
records.
put that on my list for Friday.
Do want to highlight, if you have not looked at the December issue of MMEA Currents, we made a good appearance in there, worth taking a look at. And then just want to highlight, between now and our next board meeting, we have quite a few holidays. Christmas and Christmas Eve are a little odd this year, and just want to make sure the board's aware, we will be taking the 25th 25th and 26th off, per our handbook. That's how, the handbook kind of lays out how we observe holidays when they fall like this. And then we also have January 1st as New Year's Day, so. And then lastly, Hillary celebrated her 3rd work anniversary, and I guess I did too last
You
month.
did. Wow.
So, but that's all I have for the manager's report.
Well, wait a minute, is Christmas Eve on a Tuesday?
Sunday.
This
It's
Sunday.
a Sunday, okay. I
Yeah,
was just
that's why it makes it,
gonna-
that's what makes it work, because we
Okay.
have, our handbook spells out.
Your Christmas Eve off for,
Yes, and we have, if Christmas Eve, we had, so the 2 holidays are Christmas and Christmas Eve. If any standard holiday falls on a Sunday, it's observed on Monday. If a holiday falls on a Monday, or on a Saturday, it's observed on Friday. This is the one weird incident, and I think the handbook, Julie, you said it even calls out, if Christmas falls on a Monday, or Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, we actually observe Christmas Eve on Christmas and Christmas Day on the day after,
okay,
by policy.
that's fine.
It's a good, but yes, I just want, it's kind of weird, so I just want to make sure the board was aware, it's going to be, those are the 2 days that we'll be observing, observing the 2 holidays. And then other than that, I just had some pictures from the Santa Parade.
I gotta see the squirrels.
I don't know.
I don't see it, I
Is
just.
that it?
Yep, there it is. I just, zoom in, Julie.
Wait a minute, so
It's right there.
he's
Oh,
blue?
it's on the back pole?
He's upside down.
He's upside down coming down. If you,
Climbing down.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, if you zoom out just a little,
Which pole, I guess I'm not sure.
peek back here, Julie.
The back one.
Oh my gosh, I see that.
Yeah.
Right here. Where'd you
Yeah.
get that squirrel?
It's a,
cool.
it's a taxidermied squirrel.
Wow.
No, it was live, they had it tied up there.
Perfect.
If you, actually, if you zoom out the other picture, you can see it a little bit better.
Which one?
Go to the, right, that one.
Upper left picture.
Hold on,
Uh-oh.
I'm really messing it up.
You can see it right here.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Oh my gosh.
There's the taxidermied squirrel.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think you guys got
Right next to
robbed.
Zach.
No, thank you. I'm so thankful we got 3rd. Because kids got 1st and 2nd, and it could not be any better.
Right.
That's exactly how it should have been.
Honestly, I'm thankful that we were not aware of it. We did win $75.
Low bucks.
I think it was a check.
Check.
Oh, did you?
Uh,
Yeah, how we want it.
Yeah, we donated that, we put that money straight to A+. Figured it was the best use of the funds, so we might as well put it to A+, but yeah,
What a great float.
I couldn't,
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was blown away when that thing went by. It was,
Yeah,
when
that was-
everything
Well,
went by.
everybody's got us. I don't know where everybody was at, but there was also live chickens.
Yeah, what was the chicken?
They were
for?
3 French hens. They were,
Oh,
Turtle
okay.
doves.
Look at that cage, everyone.
oh, we had a
What's this?
taxidermied partridge.
Yeah, the partridge on the
Okay.
top of the
We had a
Christmas
taxidermy
tree.
partridge, and the chickens were legitimately 3 French breed chickens, which were
Yeah.
Lisa has French breeds, so yeah, there were 3 French hens. There were 4, the colorful birds were the 4 calling birds.
Okay.
Riley
There's
had,
the rings. Is that
Yeah.
what those are?
Yeah.
Golden rings?
Five
golden rings.
Oh, wow.
We did 1 through 5.
We didn't do everything,
So
but
cool.
Yeah, way cool.
It was just beautiful when I saw it go by.
I was
Thank you.
thoroughly impressed. It was a lot of fun.
I was
It
in
was-
Lucas
it was
oil
a
field, so I
team-
couldn't see it.
And I love
Discussion
how the
and-
poles moved, like you guys go down the road. That's what caught my eye, I went, oh my god.
They were secure.
Hope so. Safety director.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little, I
no
guess.
problem.
But then the only other picture I included in there was, we did a potluck last week and did an ugly sweater. It was a fun opportunity to get everybody into the office. We all got together up in the, what's now the old board meeting, or the old board room.
Yeah,
Had a potato bar and had a lot of fun.
very cool. great ugly sweaters. Great. Those are so cool.
And then the only other thing, I went ahead and included the bill insert that was in the November bill. So from a communication standpoint, we're also sharing the office hours there. And on the actual envelopes,
Yeah.
they've printed off stickers, and there are stickers on the outside of the envelopes. And again, we're targeting people who get paper, thinking that there's a higher
Bravo
correlation of people.
stickers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there are those yellow stickers.
Yeah, it's that yellow,
Yellow dot with the, it says
Yeah, Emily made
perfect.
them as stickers too.
so yeah, and the thought is the people who get paper
Oh my
bills are
God.
probably more likely to still be customers to come in, where customers that get digital bills or emailed bills are less likely. So we're really trying to target our efforts, trying to make sure we get to the people, and to your point is, not everybody uses one means of communication. We better find multiple avenues, and really we need to find print opportunities, or because the customers that are likely to come in are more likely to use print opportunities to communicate with them than digital. So
I would have put them on an inexpensive magnet, put on my refrigerator.
Yeah.
So my low light power bills
Does our
are.
refrigerators, could they take magnets?
What's that?
Get it in the envelope somehow?
So-
They wouldn't go through the machine.
I agree, I'm just saying, that's what I don't know, but.
Or
Right.
you
I was
know,
So,
gonna say,
so you
magnet
can
too.
stick some more grandchildren pictures
Pictures
on
of,
the.
whatever, but at least you got it right in front of you.
Right.
we can
So-
hand them out.
What I think
That's
that's, what I
We
can
wouldn't be able to put them
target.
in the envelopes.
so we're doing.
You're gonna make them?
No, I'll pick up those stickers.
Oh, we have some. We have stickers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the manager's report?
That's all I had on the page.
And then,
I
so
love this.
next on the agenda, we have a schedule of meetings.
Schedule of meetings.
That's
That,
in there.
okay.
City Council canceled the December 18th meeting, and then it's got the holiday observances are on there as well.
Okay, so, and then you have supplemental information.
That's just, if there's any questions, happy to answer them, but that's just the detail and the charts for the sales and cash and investments. It's two different ones. It looks weird the way it's written there. I may try to redo that actually. There's a benevolence report in there, and the way that we are talking about the benevolence report is maybe once a quarter, bring it up into the actual information items and touch base on it, and in the other months, just kind of keep it in the supplemental information so you can see any movement, but a lot of times the only movement on benevolence is banner work that we do for the chamber, so it doesn't necessarily need to be touched on. It's available every month, but may not be touched on every month. And then the payables are in there.
All right, well, the next regular Lowell Light Power Board meeting is January 9th, 2024. On the agenda next is board comments. Tina, take it away.
Okay, I have three things. I'm glad that we are moving forward with you in your meeting tomorrow because we approved the ZRC, two of those, and AES deal. So I'm so glad that we're moving forward because when I was reading it was mind-boggling. And thank you for being our young man that's gonna be thrown into the pits of there and have fun with that. Bravo. Parade float, oh my gosh. Again, when I was sitting there to pull that organ out and I saw it go by, I just thought, oh my gosh. And David even got out of the truck and watched it go by. We were all lining up. It was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And the new hours, bravo, because it needed to be done. And it just shows that we're not dinosaurs. We're moving into a new way of looking at things. And from my aspect of where I come from with blues, we have lost a few great workers because of the one little stickler thing is they didn't like the fact that we weren't flexible for them to do their job. And that's just a crime, you guys. And I'm not gonna be cool with that happening here, because we're a small town utility, blah, 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 but we're not under a big jurisdiction like Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan to make these movements. We can make the movement right here at this board table, and I love it. So, bravo, you guys.
Local control
Yeah,
is what we are.
I love it. That's me out.
Okay, Perry.
Couple things. Again, we still get the Grand Rapids Express at our house, so Palisades Nuclear, looks like they're applying to go back online, also applying for 2 modular units.
So they have plans.
Huh?
They have plans after they restart the
2
800.
small reactors.
Yeah, small modular reactors. We'll see if the 800, Casey and I were talking about this today. We'll see if the 800 megawatt reactor ever gets fired back up. It's never been done in the history of the country.
So
Oh my God.
at least there's talk of it. And I say that, I bring that up because of our state of Michigan, some of the legislature that's been signed. I think it's to have a zero carbon footprint and some other things. I think that's a very lofty goal. We've always, here at Lowell Power, tried to be leaders and make sure, when it was 10% renewables and 15, and we've always tried to be ahead of that. But with some of the dates that they've put on, are certainly some lofty goals, and I just, one group's touting that it's going to save you in your energy bills, and I just don't see that happening with the things that they've signed. And then you read about it, or it's been on to the point, and you find out that they've made exceptions for DTE and consumers, and I mean there's a lot of things in that bill that you really need to be aware of. I do have one question. Again, it's probably because of what's going on in Ottawa County with the politics. The closed session minutes. So I know when we approve those, we're approving basically, we're not, because it's closed session in public, we're not telling it, but I guess my question is, there someplace on file exactly what went on in that closed session? Or is that, because again, I'm looking at Ottawa County and their FOIing or doing different things to get the minutes of the closed session to determine whether this health advisor was offered the $4 million or not offered the there's a lot of legalities, and and maybe that's a question for Jessica and.
I can touch on it.
Yep.
So there are rules as to what has to be included in minutes, and it's the official proceeding. We don't make, and nobody should, make decisions in closed session.
Right.
So we capture in our closed sessions for all of them. We don't talk about specifics, because as soon as somebody talks about the specifics, you uncloak the closed session. It's no longer a closed session. So I'm speaking in very generalities, not about any specific set of minutes. But it's supposed to document what is the official proceeding. So what is the topic of conversation? There's no, or anything that is committed to. But in our situation, it tends to be informational and presenting the board with information that is not subject to public disclosure, whether that be for a predetermined reason as outlined, or just in general, it's not to be disclosed or protected from public disclosure. So we always talk about the nature of what is discussed behind closed doors, so that we can, if anybody ever wants to verify, that yes, the topics of conversation, we're protected under whatever the statute is.
Mhm.
Then there are also rules for those closed sessions. Those closed session minutes are the official record of what happened, and that's the only record, the only official record of what happened, unless you have a video or something. And then we are only required to actually retain those closed session minutes for 1 year. After 1 year, the minutes are to be destroyed. And then there is no official record of what happened behind closed sessions. And then, to your point, it takes an act of the court, and I shouldn't say it definitively, but it tends to be that it's a court order that opens them for whatever reason, and I won't begin to speculate what's going on in Ottawa County, but.
Well, I mean, it's just something I read, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I was very surprised.
And you're just wondering, okay, if they, because I've always been, so if they open ours, it's just basically,
In general, it's the topic that was
Right.
discussed, because there's not debate or deliberation typically, it's
Nope.
very much, here, let us present you with this information that we don't want to present to the full general public, and that's why we come back out into open session to take any action.
right.
And then, the last one, you can see what action's taken, and that action is official. It's when, there's a lot of different scenarios that could make you go into closed session. We're fortunate that the things that drive our closed sessions are very different than other forms of government, other different governmental entities, so.
Because nobody writes scribes what we say, nothing, it's not recorded in our city council meetings, so.
No.
Be nothing.
No, it's
But the
just,
topic.
yeah, it's just the topic and the gist of the conversation. And different people, I mean, if you read different sets of minutes, there's different levels of detail. It's very much a written document, so style and personality, or style, I guess personality probably shouldn't, but style and how you approach it is going to fluctuate from one organization to the next. But there's certain things that are in the Attorney General guidelines on the Open Meetings Act and things that, what are you supposed to include in minutes? And we've talked with our legal counsel to make sure that, hey, are we capturing what needs to be captured in minutes?
Yeah, the float was great. It was, only could have made the parade a little bit better, because I can remember the first, I love having an evening parade for Santa Claus. And I think the first one, we had a snow blizzard.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was pretty cool to, the snow, and it just added to that, but it was a great, I stopped here to pick up a piece of equipment that I loaned. It was a heater that I loaned for the event on the Riverwalk, and I just happened, I got time, I'll go get that, so it's not in the way and stuff, and they were, the staff was working on the float and everything, and it was, kind of rainy outside and stuff, so they were working on the float, and it just, the enthusiasm of all of the employees was just, everybody was taking part in putting that float together, which, again,
That's cool.
just says a lot about Lowell Light Power, about our employees, it hasn't, in the many years that I've been on, it hasn't always been like that, but it is now, and it's so heartwarming to see all of our employees working on it, taking pride in doing it and wanting. You can just see that they're wanting to do this, and hey, what if we do this, or hey, can we add this to it, or whatever. It's just, it's exciting to see.
It reflected that.
So kudos to everybody, and from the top all the way down. And that's And I will say it's been nice sitting over here and having somebody else run the meeting. Because I'm watching, I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna get home to see The Voice. Who gets who gets eliminated on The Voice tonight?
Well, Craig hasn't spoken yet.
So, yeah, well, I don't know how you've done that, but, yeah. We didn't have, too many action items tonight, so.
So that's all that's everything I've got.
All right, well, picking up from where you left off, it was a great experience to run the meeting. I, of course, tripped over my tongue many times than I wanted to, and missed a couple of steps here and there. Thankfully, Perry was there to catch me. The parade, again, I was blown away. It just shows how much of a culture of excellence that we have going on here, and how everybody wants to participate and produce the best product, whether it be our face to the community, our level of service inside and outside. It's truly one of the few organizations that I've been with that it all works the best. I've been involved with some of the other organizations. They've been great, but there's something special going on here, and I don't want to be blowing sunshine up our what's, but it's hard not to when you look around and you see just everything going on, and next, the schedule change. I'm glad we implemented it. To modernize and optimize the schedule, and be able to retain our wonderful employees. I am so happy we're here right now. Again, I mentioned something about the sleeve on my pole earlier, and I'm happy about that. Yeah, so, I think there was some question as to whether or not I was happy or something.
Well,
No, of course I'm happy.
It's hard to read people sometimes.
Sarcastic or not?
No, I'm
Giant thing on my
truly
pole.
happy, yeah. One less little squirrel, because we've got squirrel nests up in our trees.
Yep.
I've got an oak tree and a maple tree, and Perry, maybe you can come over and take care of them for me.
Send his mother over.
I do have one thing I'd like to add, and don't forget Jim, but, the other, because we're talking about, great employees and everything, and, I'm just gonna, I always, think of the board, as a great board, and the point I wanna make is 2 of our board members are not here tonight because one is dealing with his elderly mother having some health issues, and the other it has their son is in a event at the school, so he's taking family. Family always comes first in my book, and so again, a few years ago, we would not be able to do that because we only had a 3-member board. But with the chart, the public voted and charter change with 5 members, which allows Lowell Light and Power to continue to do the important things that they do, which is supply cost-effective, safe power to the public, but allows board members and employee different things to be a part of their family's life. So I just wanted to commend those 2 for taking care of their families. And that's all I've got to say.
Okay. And I guess I did kind of skip Jim.
You know, I just want to congratulate Hillary and Charlie for a 3-year anniversary. I mean, I remember him coming aboard, young and brash and full of vinegar, and I'm still glad you still have that passion. And I've only seen it grow coming to these meetings. Speaking of coming to these meetings, at the next chamber meeting, we'll be discussing who's going to be sitting on the board. I'm willing to come back. I just don't know if anybody else is going to apply as the liaison for this now that Cliff is gone, and you know, people might want to change or whatever, sit on particular different boards, but my ringer to come back. And I don't know if anybody watched 60 Minutes this week. They had the governor of Wyoming. They are the #1 largest coal producer.
Mm-hmm.
They are also like 8th in the United States for wind. They're right up there in the oil and natural gas as well. But one of the interesting things, they're looking to do a new solar thing. It'll power 1.2 million homes. Just it's that huge of a thing. But they've been in negotiation already for 17 years. And they probably have another 5 years to go. And then it's another 10 years to build it, or at least get it going and starting getting the infrastructure put in. And they show this beautiful valley that this is going to be in. And I mean, it's rock, and it's a great place for it. There's, you know, other than deer and antelope, whatever else might be out in Wyoming. But it was pretty fascinating how this governor actually believed that even coal is still a doable resource today if you can get the carbon air clean, and they're producing these carbon cleaners, whatever you do, capture things, and then storing it underground. Apparently that's the same thing. So it was a really fascinating 60 Minutes, and this was just a small scope of what I got out of it. So I can imagine what they're doing to do that part of it. So, and he's a Republican. He's fighting his own party about saying, hey, well, there is climate change. We need to do things about it. So it was pretty interesting. So if you get a chance to go back and review it, it was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's it for me.
Okay, well, I had a couple more things. Of course, congratulating Hillary on her 3 years, and of course, Charlie on his 3 years. You know, I really appreciate that he is here. I see how he carries out his role with enthusiasm, and I'm just so happy to have him.
Means a lot.
I am too. That was a brutal interview that we gave you.
I've told people that you go on YouTube and watch it, and nobody has cared enough to go watch my 4 hours of enjoying my time with the board, my introduction to the board.
You did your homework. That's what blew me out of the water.
So the only other thing I'd like to add is Andrew did want to share that he thought the White Power Float was by far the coolest and most creative participant in the parade, and really wanted to thank everybody for the time that they spent to build such a fun project and share it with everybody at the parade. And then he also wanted to share that Casey's sweater made his eyes hurt.
I was like, what sweater? Yeah, it is ugly.
Yeah.
It's super ugly.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed?
I'm sorry you didn't get the burgundy plaid shirt memo.
I need everybody to stick around for just a minute.